Here is a sentence that should not be possible. For most of its existence, the richest golf league on earth, the one with the private jets on the tarmac and the $20 million purses and the television deal worth the better part of $1 billion a year, was, legally, a non-profit. Not a metaphorical non-profit, an actual one. The PGA Tour spent decades organised under the same broad section of the American tax code as your local chamber of commerce, a trade association, technically existing not to make money, but to promote the mutual interests of its members. The members being professional golfers, the mutual interests being, well, look at the tarmac. And the strangest part is that the non-profit structure was never really the scandal people wanted it to be. It was the honest clue. Because once you understand what the PGA Tour actually is, and it is not what you think it is, the entire bizarre economy of professional golf snaps into focus. Why nobody owns it, why the players never had salaries, why a Saudi sovereign wealth fund nearly broke it with a checkbook, and why it responded to that near-death experience by doing the least non-profit thing imaginable, selling a piece of itself for billions. So let's take the machine apart. 15 minutes, the whole engine, every dollar in and every dollar out. Start with the question that stumps everyone at the bar. Who owns the PGA Tour? And the answer is the punchline. Nobody. There is no owner. There are no franchises, no shareholders, no oligarch in a luxury box. The tour is a members' organisation. The members are the players, and the players are not employees but independent contractors. A couple hundred self-employed men who collectively constitute the thing itself. The commissioner works for them. When you hear that golfers get no salary, this is why. You cannot draw a salary from a company that is, in a real sense, you. The tour is less like the NFL and more like a guild of travelling specialists who jointly own the stage they perform on. And for 50 years, that cooperative of golfers quietly built one of the most effective money machines in sport. And the guild exists because of a mutiny, which is the origin story almost nobody knows. Until the late 1960s, tournament golf in America was run by the PGA of America, the Association of Club Professionals, the men who give lessons and run pro shops. The touring stars, Nicklaus, Palmer, the players actually filling the grandstands, decided they were done having their television money administered by the lessons industry. And in 1968, they simply walked out and formed their own circuit. That breakaway became the PGA Tour. Hold on to that fact, because it is the skeleton key for everything that happens later in this video. The tour itself was born as a players' revolt over money against the people running the show. When a rival league came waving checks half a century later, the tour was not facing some alien threat. It was staring at its own baby photos. The mutiny matters for one more reason. Because the men who revolted set the constitution. The players would own the thing collectively. No outside owner would ever hold it, and the commissioner would be staff, not boss. Every strange feature of golf's economy flows downstream from that founding decision, taken by men in slacks in 1968, who mostly just wanted a bigger cut of the television money. Here is what flows in. The heart of the machine is television. The American broadcast deals, spread across the major networks and streaming, run to roughly $700 million a year through the end of the decade, with international rights stacked on top. That is the engine block, and it is why, incidentally, everything in golf orbits television windows, why tournaments finish at network-friendly hours, and why slow play panics executives. The product being sold is Sunday afternoon. The second pipe is sponsorship, and golf sells it differently from any other sport. Every regular tournament has a title sponsor, an insurer, a bank, a truck manufacturer, paying somewhere in the range of $15 million and up for the naming rights to 1 week. That money substantially funds that week's purse. When a sponsor walks away, a tournament can simply die, and historic events have vanished exactly that way. Add the official partner ecosystem, the licensing, the video game, the new indoor league adjacency, the hospitality tents where a company entertains clients at $2,000 a badge, and you have pipe number 2. And the third pipe is the strangest. The tournaments themselves are mostly run by local charities. Genuinely, the event in your city is typically staged by a local non-profit organisation, staffed by 2,000 volunteers who pay, and this is real, pay for the privilege of working there, buying their own uniforms, marshalling fairways for free. The tour supplies the golfers and the television. The local organisation supplies the labour and keeps what is left for local causes. The tour's lifetime charity figure, over $3 billion by its own accounting, is built on this model, and it is simultaneously a genuine engine of local good and the greatest public relations shield ever constructed in American sport. It is very hard to legislate against, tax, or criticise an entity that hands your city's children's hospital a giant novelty cheque every summer using volunteer labour it did not pay for. Before we follow the money out, hold one ordinary tournament up to the light, because a single tour stop is the whole economy in miniature. Call it the mid-tier event in a mid-sized city you have flown over. In comes the title sponsor's 15 or so million, plus the tour's television allocation, plus hospitality, the corporate tents on the 16th, the Pro-Am on Wednesday, where executives pay 5 figures each to top a drive in front of their clients, which is, quietly, one of the great cash cows in all of sport. Out goes the $9 million purse, the 7-figure cost of building a small canvas city, grandstands, scoreboards, security, the courtesy cars, the television compound. The 2,000 volunteers charge nothing and pay for their own uniforms. And whatever survives all of that goes to the local children's hospital, wearing a novelty check. Now understand that the man who finishes dead last on Sunday and collects his guaranteed nothing, and the man who wins 1.6 million, and the volunteer who paid $90 for the polo shirt, are all standing on the same lawn, inside the same $15 million transaction. Nobody in that picture is being cheated. Everybody in that picture would describe the arrangement differently. That is the tour's genius in one frame. So that is the money in. Now the money out. And this is where the last 4 years turn the machine inside out. For decades, the outflow was stately, and it is worth itemizing because the machine's spending tells you what it actually values. The purses, obviously, hundreds of millions a year across the schedule. The season-long bonus pool, 9 figures, engineered to keep stars playing deep into autumn when television needs them. The pension, and this one deserves a sentence of awe. The tour's deferred compensation retirement plan is reputed to be the most generous in professional sport. A quiet machine that turns long careers into 8-figure retirements. And it exists for a structural reason. A guild with no owner has no one to hoard profits, so the surplus flows back to members in the least taxable, least visible way available. Then the front office itself. The commissioner of this non-profit has, in reported years, been paid north of $20 million, which is to say the staff member earns like the CEO of the media company he effectively runs. And the members have historically shrugged, because the machine kept humming. Everyone got rich and nobody rocked anything. Then in 2022, a rival league funded by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia showed up with the simplest strategy in economic history: infinite money. 9-figure signing bonuses, guaranteed contracts, 54-hole events with no cuts. And the non-profit trade association from Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, found itself in a spending war against a sovereign wealth fund that measures its resources in fractions of $1 trillion. Watch what the war did to the outflow. Purses at the flagship events nearly doubled inside 2 years. The tour invented signature events, $20 million purses, small fields, guaranteed paydays for the stars. Functionally, the rival league's model wearing a tour logo. A bonus program paid the most popular players tens of millions, essentially for being popular. A program so nakedly defensive, it was retired once the emergency passed. The $100 million season-long bonus pool got restructured. In the span of 3 seasons, the cost of keeping the show together roughly doubled, permanently, while the television money, the engine block, was locked in years earlier at pre-war prices. That is the squeeze, and it is the real story of golf's last half-decade. Revenue fixed, costs exploded, and the gap had to come from somewhere. It came from the most non-profit place imaginable. In January 2024, the tour created a for-profit commercial arm, PGA Tour Enterprises, and sold a stake to a consortium of American sports owners, the Strategic Sports Group, Fenway Money, Billionaire Money. Initially $1.5 billion, expandable to $3 billion, at a valuation around $12 billion. And then it did the genuinely unprecedented thing. It granted equity, ownership stakes reportedly totaling near $1 billion, to the players themselves. The independent contractors became shareholders. The guild bought itself a balance sheet. 50 years of tax-advantaged cooperative existence converted, under fire, into a startup with a cap table, and the non-profit shell still sitting on top, like the original farmhouse a mansion got built around. And then, this year, the twist ending nobody at the tour will publicly gloat about. The reports came, and the Wall Street Journal put it plainly. The Saudi fund is pulling its money out of the rival league at the end of the 2026 season. $5 billion spent, the biggest sports washing experiment ever attempted, winding down. The war is ending, and on paper the tour won it. But walk the ledger with me, because this is the honest part. The tour won a war of attrition against an opponent with infinite money, by permanently doubling its own costs, mortgaging a slice of itself to private equity, and converting its structure into something its founders would not recognize. The rival league is dying. The tour that beat it is also not the thing it was. In economics, they call that a Pyrrhic victory. In golf, they call it Tuesday. And because investors demand growth, the machine has started sprouting new limbs. Each one a bet on where golf's next dollar lives. The Indoor Simulator League, played in a purpose-built arena in prime time, is an attempt to manufacture a second television product from the same stars, without asking them to travel. The tour's video game licensing, its betting data partnerships, the content deals feeding highlight rights to streamers. All of it is the same instinct. The core product is 140 men walking on grass for 5 hours, which is beautiful and utterly resistant to growth. So growth has to be found in wrappers around it. Whether any wrapper ever earns like the original Sunday broadcast is the $12 billion question the new shareholders paid to find out, which leaves the machine where it stands today, and the honest, open questions. Television ratings are soft, and the engine block comes up for renegotiation in a world where every sport's rights are being repriced by streaming. The signature event model has made the top 30 players wealthy beyond argument, while the middle of the tour fights over a shrinking card count. 100 spots now where there were once 125. The billionaire investors did not hand over $1.5 billion out of love for the short game. They will want growth, and growth means change. And change is the one thing a members' cooperative of independent contractors has historically voted against every single time. So the next time someone tells you golf is a simple game, give them the machine, a non-profit that prints money, a league nobody owns that sold itself, a charity model staffed by volunteers who pay to work, players who are contractors who are also now shareholders, a war chest built to outlast a kingdom, and a victory that cost more than most defeats. All of it balanced on one product that has not changed since before the tax code existed. A man, a stick, and a hole in the ground on Sunday at network-friendly hours. If you want the other half of this story, What this machine looks like from inside a player's wallet, from the mini tours to the private jets, that video is on the channel now. And tell me in the comments, nobody owns the PGA Tour, so if it ever fully sells, who should the money belong to? The stars who drive the ratings, or the 200 men whose names you will never know? Careful, that is the whole next war.